The grand chamber of the Galactic Space Council sparkled under the light of 3 artificial suns. Ambassador Laura Bennett stood at the speaker's podium, her blue diplomatic uniform crisp and neat despite the 6-hour wait. She looked up at the towering seats arranged in 7 ascending rings, each filled with representatives of the most powerful species in the known galaxy. "Honorable Council members," she began, her voice steady. "Humanity thanks you for accepting our presence here today. Our achievement of faster-than-light travel marks our readiness to join the galactic community." The Zerlak representative, a floating crystal structure that sparkled with internal light, chimed in with a musical tone. "We acknowledge Earth's progress, but some council members express concern about your species' rapid military development." Laura had practiced for this moment. She knew the Council's history of looking down on younger species. "Our military development goes hand in hand with our defensive capabilities. Humanity has learned through its history that peace must be protected." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Vextar delegation, insectoid beings with iridescent wings, buzzed in disapproval. Their spokesperson's translator crackled to life. "Your species emerged from your gravity mere centuries ago. Yet you speak of military power to those who have sailed the stars for millennia." Before Laura could respond, the chamber's emergency alerts flashed red. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing a sector of space near the human colony of New Eden. Dozens of ships were appearing from jump points, ships that bore the distinctive arrow-shaped design of the Krathak Empire. The Krathak weren't supposed to be there. They weren't even supposed to know about human space. Laura's handheld device buzzed with urgent messages from Earth Command. The Council's high speaker, an ancient entity named Orvis, raised all 4 of their arms for silence. "We are receiving reports of attacks on human settlements in the New Eden sector. Ambassador Bennett, do you wish to make a statement?" Laura's fingers tightened on the podium. "Those are civilian colonies. Over 2 million human lives are at risk. I formally request Council intervention under the Galactic Protection Act." The chamber erupted in debate. The Krathak were known aggressors, but they were also a powerful force in the galaxy's outer rim. No species wanted to risk drawing their attention. "The Council must follow proper procedures," Orvis announced. "We will need to form a committee to investigate these allegations and determine the appropriate response." Laura's device showed more urgent updates. The Krathak ships were launching fighters. Colonial defense stations were already engaged. She looked up at the Council members, their alien faces impossible to read. "While you debate," she said, her voice cutting through the chamber, "humans are dying. Our colonies are burning. Remember this moment, because it will define how humanity views the Council going forward." The Zerlak representative chimed again. "You threaten the Council." "No," Laura replied. "I'm warning you. Not about what we might do to you, but about what's coming. The Krathak think they're attacking a weak species. They're wrong." New images appeared on the holographic display. The Krathak fleet was moving into attack formation around New Eden. Their ships were massive, dwarfing the human defensive platforms. "Humanity respectfully reminds the Council that we will defend ourselves," Laura continued. "Whatever happens next, remember that we asked for your help first." The Council chambers buzzed with more debate. Laura received another message on her device. This one made her smile slightly, despite the gravity of the situation. Earth Command had activated the Warstar protocols. Chief Engineer Susan Matthews has assumed command of Defense Platform Sierra 7. She read aloud from her device. "Warstar transformation sequence initiated." The alien representatives showed no reaction. They didn't understand yet. They didn't know what a Warstar was, or what humanity had hidden inside those seemingly simple defense platforms. "What is a Warstar transformation?" the Vextar spokesperson demanded. Laura looked up at the gathered representatives. "You're about to find out. I suggest everyone watch the tactical display carefully. Humanity is about to demonstrate why we developed our military alongside our peaceful technologies." The holographic display zoomed in on one of the human defense platforms. To the Council's surprise, the structure was changing. Massive panels shifted, revealing hidden weapon systems. The asteroid at its core, previously thought to be simply a mounting point, began to move with purpose. By our laws, we cannot intervene without proper deliberation, Orvis stated firmly. Then watch, Laura replied. Watch and remember that we gave you a chance to help. Watch and remember that humanity stood alone. And most importantly, watch what happens when someone threatens our people. The tactical display told the story. The first war star was fully operational now, its true form revealed. It wasn't just a defense platform. It was a mobile fortress, built inside and around an asteroid, armed with weapons that made several council members float back in their seats. Admiral Peter Morrison's voice came through on an open channel. This is Earth Command to all colonial forces. War Star protocols are now active. Defend our people. Show them what humanity can do. Laura Bennett stood straight at her podium, watching the Council's reaction. The real battle was about to begin. And with it, the galaxy would learn an important lesson about humanity. They weren't just another young species reaching for the stars. They were humanity. And they were ready for war. The Krethak ships moved closer to New Eden, their weapons charging. They had no idea what was waiting for them. They didn't know about the war stars or about humanity's determination to protect their own. Laura's final words echoed through the council chamber. Watch carefully, honored representatives. You're about to witness why humanity survived its own violent history to reach the stars. And after today, you'll understand why we will never, ever go quietly into the night. The battle for New Eden was about to begin. And with it, humanity's true introduction to the galaxy, not as humble newcomers, but as a force to be reckoned with. The council members settled in to watch, not yet understanding that they were about to witness the birth of a new galactic power. Humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of, and nothing would ever be the same again. Admiral Peter Morrison stood in the command center of Earth's Space Defense Headquarters, his eyes fixed on the massive display showing the situation at New Eden. Red dots representing Krethak ships filled the screen, while blue markers showed the human defensive positions. He had been preparing for a day like this for the past 15 years. War Star Sierra 7. Status report, he commanded, his voice firm and clear. Chief Engineer Susan Matthews' voice came through the comm system. Transformation sequence at 80%, Admiral. The asteroid's core is fully powered. Weapon systems are coming online. The massive screen showed the transformation in real time. What had appeared to be a simple defensive platform attached to an asteroid was becoming something else entirely. Layers of armor plating shifted and locked into place. Hidden weapon ports opened along carefully planned lines. The asteroid itself, hollowed out and enhanced over years of secret work, hummed with power. All war stars, this is command. Morrison broadcast. You are cleared to engage. Protect our people. In the council chambers, the alien representatives watched with growing concern as 5 more defensive platforms began to change. Ambassador Laura Bennett stood silent now, letting humanity's preparations speak for themselves. The first Krethak ships reached firing range of New Eden. Their weapons charged, green energy building along their arrow-shaped hulls. They had expected to find a helpless colony protected by simple orbital platforms. Instead, they found themselves facing something unprecedented. War Star Sierra 7 moved first. The entire asteroid, nearly 2 kilometers across, accelerated with impossible grace. Thrusters hidden beneath its armor plates adjusted its course with precision that shocked even the most experienced council members. Target locked, Susan reported. Main cannon charge. The Krethak flagship never saw it coming. A beam of concentrated energy, powered by the reactor hidden in the asteroid's core, cut through its shields like they weren't there. The mighty warship split in 2, secondary explosions rippling along its length. By the eternal stars, the Vextar representative buzzed. They built weapons into their mining platforms. Laura smiled slightly. No, honored representative. We built mining platforms around our weapons. The battle expanded quickly. The Kruthak, realizing they had severely underestimated their prey, began to spread out. Their ships launched swarms of fighters, filling the space around New Eden with streaks of green weapons fire. War stars, implement defense pattern Delta, Morrison ordered. Protect those civilian ships. The massive asteroid fortresses moved with stunning coordination. They positioned themselves to shield the evacuation ships leaving New Eden's surface. Their point defense systems, hidden in what looked like standard mining equipment, filled space with precise bursts of fire that cut through the Kruthak fighters. In the council chamber, the tactical display told the story. The Kruthak fleet, which had arrived expecting an easy victory, was being systematically taken apart. Every time they concentrated their fire on one war star, others would move to support it. The asteroid's natural composition helped absorb energy weapons, while the added armor and shields handled everything else. Impossible, the Kruthak ambassador bellowed, having just arrived at the chamber. These are tricks. Deceptions. No, Laura replied calmly. This is humanity's response to a galaxy that wouldn't guarantee our safety. We built our own protection. On the main display, Susan Matthews was coordinating with the other War Star commanders. The massive stations moved in perfect sync, their weapons complementing each other. When one fired its main cannon, others provided covering fire. When one needed to recharge, others filled the gap. War Star Sierra 3 reports minor damage to outer plating. An operator announced. Self-repair systems are responding. Morrison nodded. Even this had been planned for. Each asteroid contained automated repair systems, hidden beneath the surface. The Kruthak were learning the hard way that every aspect of the War Stars had been carefully thought out. Civilian evacuation is 60% complete, another officer reported. The War Stars are keeping the enemy fleet contained. In space, the battle continued to unfold. The Kruthak tried to adapt, but they were fighting an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. The War Stars seemed to predict their tactics, countering each move before it could be completed. They're retreating, Susan announced, her voice carrying a note of satisfaction. 3 of their capital ships are powering up jump drives. The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The Kruthak were known for their military might. Seeing them retreat from what they had thought would be an easy conquest was unprecedented. Should we pursue? One of the War Star commanders asked. Morrison considered for a moment. Negative. Our primary mission is to protect our people. Let them run. Let them tell others what happened here today. The remaining Kruthak ships began to pull back, covering their retreat with heavy fire. The War Stars held position, their weapons tracking the enemy but not firing unless directly threatened. This show of restraint wasn't lost on the council members. Ambassador Bennett, Orvis spoke carefully. The council may need to reevaluate its position on human military development. Laura nodded. We welcome that discussion, honored speaker. But first, we need to tend to our people. There are civilians who need help and damages that need to be repaired. The tactical display showed the last Kruthak ships jumping away. Where there had been a massive invasion fleet, now there were only debris fields and retreating enemies. The War Stars began to power down their main weapons, but remained vigilant. All War Stars, well done, Morrison broadcast. Begin rescue operations. I want every civilian accounted for. The massive asteroid fortresses moved with surprising gentleness, using their tractor beams to collect damaged civilian ships and provide aid where needed. This sight, perhaps more than the battle itself, made an impression on the watching council members. Humanity had not just demonstrated its ability to fight. It had shown its dedication to protecting its own people, its technological advancement, and its capacity for both overwhelming force and careful restraint. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The War Stars had changed everything. And this was only the beginning. Commander Jack Phillips stood at the bridge of War Star Sierra 7, watching the massive holographic display that showed the positions of both human and Krathak forces across 3 sectors of space. The initial battle for New Eden had ended, but the war was far from over. Reports indicated that the Krathak were gathering an even larger fleet. "Dr. Martinez, are you ready?" he asked, turning to the War Star's lead scientist. Dr. Catherine Martinez nodded, her fingers moving quickly over her control panel. "The quantum targeting system is fully operational, Commander. All 6 War Stars are now linked." This was what they had been waiting for. The first battle had shown the galaxy what individual War Stars could do. Now they would demonstrate their true power when working as one. In the council chambers, Ambassador Laura Bennett was still fielding questions from the alien representatives. The massive screen showed the movements of both fleets, and the tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. "The Krathak are deploying their entire 3rd fleet," the Zorlak representative chimed nervously. "Over 200 warships." Laura remained calm. "Then they still don't understand what they're facing." The Krathak fleet emerged from jump points in a perfect attack formation. Their ships had been modified, their shields strengthened after the lessons of the first battle. They thought they were ready this time. They were wrong. "All War Stars, this is Commander Phillips," Jack's voice carried across all channels. "Quantum targeting network is active. Execute Battle Plan Omega." The 6 War Stars moved in perfect synchronization. The asteroids that formed their cores hummed with power as hidden engines pushed them into a hexagonal formation. Energy began to flow between them, visible as streams of blue light connecting each station. "What are they doing?" the Vextar representative buzzed. On the bridge of Sierra 7, Dr. Martinez activated the final sequence. "Quantum entanglement stable. All War Stars are linked and ready." The Krathak fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and projectiles streaked toward the War Stars. But something impossible happened. The attacks that should have hit one station were intercepted by shields projected from another. The 6 War Stars were acting as a single defensive unit. "Now," Commander Phillips ordered, "show them what humanity can really do." All 6 War Stars fired their main cannons simultaneously, but instead of 6 separate beams, the quantum targeting system combined them into something new. A massive web of energy formed between the stations, and from its center erupted a single beam of unprecedented power. The Krathak fleet's center vanished. 40 ships, including their command vessel, were simply gone. The quantum beam had bypassed their shields entirely, as if they weren't even there. In the council chamber, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence. This was beyond anything they had expected from such a young species. "By the void," the Zorlak representative whispered. "They've mastered quantum weapons technology." Laura smiled slightly. "We had to. You left us no choice but to develop our own defenses." The battle continued, but it was no longer a battle. It was a demonstration. The War Stars moved as one, their quantum targeting system allowing them to coordinate perfectly. When the Krathak tried to jump away, they found their drives wouldn't activate. "Quantum interference field is holding," Dr. Martinez reported. "They're not going anywhere." Commander Phillips opened a channel to the enemy fleet. "Krathak vessels, this is your only warning. Surrender now, or we will be forced to continue this demonstration." The response came quickly. A dozen Krathak ships powered down their weapons. Then another dozen. Within minutes, most of their remaining fleet had surrendered. In the council chambers, the Krathak ambassador was furious. "This is impossible. They cannot have this technology. They are too young." "Age," Laura replied calmly, "does not determine innovation, honored ambassador. Necessity does. You forced us to become this. Remember that." The screen showed the War Stars moving to secure the surrendered vessels. Their coordinated movements were precise, efficient, and undeniably impressive. This was not the actions of a young, stumbling species. This was the work of a civilization that had prepared for this moment. "Commander Phillips, Dr. Martinez called out. I'm detecting power spikes from the remaining enemy ships. They're trying to overload their cores. Quantum containment field. Phillips ordered instantly. Don't let them take their crews with them. The space between the war stars lit up again. But this time the energy web caught and contained the explosions from the Krathax ships that tried to self-destruct. Not a single life was lost. In the council chamber, this display of both power and mercy did not go unnoticed. The alien representatives began to whisper among themselves. This was not just a species that could fight. This was a species that understood the responsibility that came with power. The battle is over, Commander Phillips announced. All enemy ships are either secured or contained. Casualties, 0 on our side, minimal on theirs. Laura turned to address the council directly. Honored representatives, humanity did not want this war. We did not seek this conflict, but now that it has been forced upon us, we will end it. The war stars are not just weapons. They are a promise to protect our people and a warning to those who would threaten peace in this galaxy. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, Orvis spoke. The council recognizes that we may have underestimated humanity's capabilities, and perhaps its wisdom as well. Thank you, honored speaker, Laura replied. Now shall we discuss the terms of peace, and perhaps after that, we can talk about humanity's place in the galactic community. As equals, the quantum targeting system powered down, the energy web between the war stars fading. But its message remained clear. Humanity was here to stay, and they had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Commander Phillips looked out at the surrendered Krathax fleet, then at the war stars standing guard over them. Send word to Earth Command, he ordered. Tell them the tide has turned, and tell them to prepare for peace talks. I have a feeling the galaxy is about to change. Security Director Alan Murphy walked through the damaged sections of New Eden Colony, his tablet recording everything. Behind him, Lieutenant Carol White operated a hovering camera drone, making sure to capture every detail of the destruction the Krathax had caused. Make sure you get the hospital, Alan said quietly. The public needs to see what they targeted first. The hospital building stood partially destroyed, its eastern wing nothing but rubble. But that wasn't the important part. The important part was the war star holding position above it, using its advanced medical facilities to treat the wounded. Got it, Carol replied, directing the drone. Already streaming to the council chambers. In those chambers, Ambassador Laura Bennett stood firm as the recordings played on the massive screens. The Krathax ambassador struggled to maintain his composure as the evidence mounted. These are the actions your fleet took, Laura stated clearly. You didn't target military installations first. You targeted civilians, hospitals, schools, residential areas. The Zurlak representative chimed in anger. This violates multiple council conventions on warfare. The humans provoked us, the Krathax ambassador shouted. They built weapons of mass destruction in secret. Laura's voice remained calm. We built defensive stations. You chose to attack civilian targets. The footage doesn't lie. On the screens, the drone's recording continued. It showed war stars, those same stations the Krathax called weapons of mass destruction, carefully lifting debris to rescue trapped colonists. Their medical bays were full of injured civilians receiving treatment. Humanity's war stars, Laura continued, have spent more time saving lives in the past week than they have taking them. Can your fleet say the same? In orbit above New Eden, Commander Phillips supervised the rescue operations from War Star Sierra 7. Dr. Martinez had reconfigured their quantum targeting system into a scanner, looking for survivors in the rubble. Life signs detected in Sector 7, she reported, sending coordinates to the rescue teams. The council members watched as the war stars, these supposedly terrible weapons, worked with incredible precision to save lives. Their huge size and power, previously seen as threatening, now served to help and protect. More footage coming in, Carol announced from New Eden. Her drone swept over a new area, showing Krathak soldiers being treated alongside human civilians in the Warstar's medical base. "You treat our wounded?" the Krathak ambassador asked, surprised. "They're injured beings who need help," Laura replied simply. "That's all our medical teams need to know." The political impact was immediate. Several council species that had been neutral began to shift their position. The Vextar representative was the first to speak up. "The Vextar Collective withdraws its objection to human military development," they announced. "A species that shows such restraint in victory has earned our trust." Others followed. One by one, council members began to side with humanity. The evidence was clear. Humans had built the war stars to protect, not to conquer. Back on New Eden, Alan Murphy was documenting something else. His tablet displayed the rescue statistics, thousands saved by the war stars' quick action. The massive stations had used their size to shield civilian areas from bombardment, their advanced systems to maintain life support when the colony's power failed. "Lieutenant White," he called, "show them the school." Carol's drone moved to a new location. A primary school stood intact, protected by a war star that had taken heavy damage to shield it. Children were being evacuated safely, many waving to the massive station above them. In the council chambers, the impact was powerful. Even the most skeptical representatives couldn't deny what they were seeing. Humanity built these stations to protect their people, Orvis declared. They used them to defend, not conquer. And when victory was achieved, they turned their weapons into tools of mercy. The Krathak ambassador, seeing the shift in the council's mood, tried one last argument. They still built weapons in secret. They'd violated council transparency rules. Laura turned to face him directly. "We requested military protection from the council 3 times in the past 5 years. Each time, we were denied. We built the war stars because you left us no choice. And today's evidence shows we built them with the right intentions." More footage streamed in from New Eden. War stars working together to rebuild damaged infrastructure. Their quantum targeting systems, so devastating in battle, now precisely controlling construction beams to repair buildings. "The council will vote," Orvis announced, "on the matter of human military development and the deployment of war star defense stations." The vote was quick and decisive. Humanity's right to maintain their war star program was confirmed. More importantly, several species offered technical and humanitarian aid to help rebuild New Eden. "There's one more thing," Laura added as the vote concluded. "Earth Command has authorized me to extend an offer. We will share our medical technology from the war stars with any species that needs it. Not the weapons, not the quantum systems, but the tools that save lives." The chamber erupted in surprised discussion. This was unprecedented. A young species offering advanced technology to help others. On New Eden, Alan Murphy smiled as he heard the news through his comm unit. He looked up at the war star overhead, its massive form now a symbol of protection rather than fear. "Send one more drone shot," he told Carol. "Show them the sunset." The drone's camera panned up, catching the sight of New Eden's sun setting behind the war star. Its previously threatening silhouette now looked different, like a guardian, watching over the colony it had protected. In the council chambers, the image spoke volumes. Humanity had proven itself not just powerful, but wise enough to use that power responsibly. The political landscape of the galaxy had changed, and for once, it had changed for the better. "The Council recognizes humanity's right to defend itself," Orvis declared formally. "And we recognize the war stars as symbols of protection, not aggression. Let this day mark a new chapter in galactic history." Laura Bennett nodded gracefully, but her words were firm. "We accept this recognition, and we hope the galaxy remembers. Humanity will always protect its own, but we will also help those in need. That is who we are. That is who we will always be." 6 months had passed since the Battle of New Eden. Major Richard Hayes stood on the observation deck of War Star Sierra 1, watching as construction drones swarmed around a massive framework in space. The newest war star was taking shape, but this one was different. It was being built with help from 3 other species. Progress report, Dr. Carter. He called out to the scientist working at a nearby console. Dr. Paul Carter looked up from his work, his eyes bright with excitement. The Zerlac crystal matrices are integrating perfectly with our quantum systems. The Vextar power cores are exceeding all expectations, and the shield technology from the Mirage. Simply incredible. This was humanity's newest creation, a war star built not just for defense, but for galactic peacekeeping. The Council had finally recognized that humanity's approach to space warfare needed to be studied, not feared. In the Council chambers, Ambassador Laura Bennett was presenting the latest updates on the War Star network. The massive screen showed 20 stations now, spread across human space in a defensive web that had already deterred 3 potential conflicts. The defense network is nearly complete, she explained to the gathered representatives. Each war star serves as both a military deterrent and a rapid response center for emergencies. The Krathak ambassador, now much humbler than before, raised a question. And the humanitarian missions? Laura smiled. This was the part she was most proud of. In the past 6 months, war stars have responded to 11 natural disasters across 7 species territories. They've saved over 1 million lives and provided emergency aid to 12 colonies. The screen showed footage of these missions, a war star using its quantum fields to contain a radiation leak on a Vextar mining world. Another station deploying its medical bays to fight a plague on a Zerlac crystal colony. The massive stations that had once inspired fear now brought hope wherever they went. Back at the construction site, Major Hayes watched as Dr. Carter tested the new systems. The quantum targeting network had been modified, improved by cooperation with other species. Now it could detect natural disasters before they happened, coordinate relief efforts across entire sectors, and still serve as a defensive system if needed. All systems are green, Dr. Carter announced. The new war star will be operational ahead of schedule. Hayes nodded approvingly. Have you decided on a name? The Council suggested Unity, Carter replied. Seems fitting, don't you think? In orbit around New Eden, Commander Phillips supervised a very different kind of operation. War Star Sierra 7, the hero of the original battle, was hosting the first Interspecies Defense Academy. Young officers from 12 species trained together, learning to operate the stations that now protected multiple territories. Remember, Phillips told his diverse class, a war star's greatest weapon isn't its quantum cannons or its shield systems. It's the ability to help those in need. The students watched as Sierra 7 demonstrated its capabilities. The same quantum targeting system that had once destroyed a Krathak fleet now coordinated relief supplies to colonies suffering from food shortages. The massive medical bays that had saved human civilians now treated patients from any species that needed help. In the council chambers, the political landscape had shifted dramatically. Humanity was no longer seen as a young, upstart species. They had become something new. Protectors, innovators, and peacekeepers all at once. The Council recognizes the 5-year anniversary of the War Star Treaty, Orvis announced. In this time, not a single act of aggression has occurred in protected space. The galaxy is experiencing its longest period of peace in recorded history. Laura stood proudly at her podium. Humanity remembers when we stood alone, she said. We built the War Stars because we had to. We continue to build them because now others trust us to protect them too. The screen showed the newest statistics. 50 War Stars now patrolled known space, each one a combined military fortress and humanitarian mission. They responded to natural disasters, provided medical aid, protected trade routes, and stood ready to defend any species that asked for help. At the construction site, Dr. Carter was putting the finishing touches on Unity systems. This new War Star represented everything humanity had learned and achieved. It had the strength to fight if needed, but it was built for peace. Major Hayes, Carter called out suddenly. We're receiving a priority signal from the Andromeda Arm. A Zerlak colony is reporting seismic disturbances. Hayes didn't hesitate. Alert the nearest war star. Begin emergency preparations. Let's show the galaxy what Unity can do on her first mission. The massive station hummed to life, its systems powering up. But this time, there was no fear in the eyes of the alien observers. They knew what was coming. Help, protection, and hope. In the council chambers, Laura received the same alert. She watched with pride as 3 war stars coordinated their response to the emergency. The quantum targeting network, once a weapon of war, now calculated the fastest rescue routes and optimal response patterns. Humanity builds war stars, she told the council, not because we want to fight, but because we want to protect. Not because we seek power, but because we understand responsibility. This is our gift to the galaxy. Peace through strength, and strength through unity. The screen showed Unity moving into position for its first mission. The massive station, built by multiple species working together, represented everything humanity had hoped to achieve. It was no longer just a human achievement. It was a galactic one. Major Hayes watched as Unity's systems came fully online. "Send word to all stations," he ordered. "The next chapter begins today." The war stars had changed everything. They had shown the galaxy that power could be used wisely, that strength could protect rather than threaten, and that even the youngest species could teach the oldest ones something new. This was humanity's legacy. Not conquest, not dominion, but protection, unity, and hope for a better galaxy. The war stars would stand guard over this new era, ready to defend, ready to help, ready to show that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons, but in its heart. The age of the war stars had truly begun, and with it, a new golden age of peace for all species who looked up at the stars and saw not weapons of war, but guardians of hope.